Dude, sorry, I ran out of time. There was no way I could do it on the plane. It was too loud. I was too shattered when we got home. So I've gone to sleep. I've woken up. It's the following day, and I'm going to get the last 2 stories read. I did film the Christmas Eve episode from Magic Kingdom. That was quite hard, and it's quite funny. But we're on today's story, which is December 22nd. Cinderella's a tiny new friend. Let me put my bins on. I can't see anything. It had been a week since Cinderella's stepmother had forced her to move out of her bedroom and into the attic of the old house. Well, she don't sound very nice, does she? But, I don't know, I quite fancy it. It's all the rage, isn't it, loft conversions? In second thought, she should be happy. Sounds very Scandinavian. I went to Canada once and stayed in an attic. That was all right. But Cinderella was still not used to her new sleeping quarters in the loft. The only other soul around to keep Cinderella company was a skittish little mouse who had seen scurrying in and out of a hole in the corner. That's written wrong, isn't it, for a start? The only other soul around to keep Cinderella company was a skittish little... I don't even know what skittish means. A skittish little mouse who she had seen scurrying in and out of a hole in the corner. There was nothing wrong with that. It's me not knowing how to read correctly. I've read it twice, and I still can't remember what I just said. One day at supper time... I know they're bad. Cinderella slipped a piece of cheese into her apron pocket. I used to do that with food I didn't like. I hated semolina. And I used to sit there as a kid, and when we had semolina for pudding or rice pudding, can't stick it. I hated it. And putting that little bit of jam on it, I used to do that in school, didn't they? They put a little bit of jam on it as if that was a treat. I was like, that's not a treat, a little bit of jam, because the rest of the bowl's going to make me want to throw up. I'm not going to eat that bowl of sick just because there's a little bit of jam in it. Excuse me, got itchy nose. Where was I? A little bit. Oh, sorry, yeah, putting stuff in your pocket. So I used to refuse at school to eat it and got into trouble. And then I used to, when I was sitting around at the dinner table at home, and my brothers were there and that, and my mum would go, I got to eat that, eat it. And I go, yeah, no, I don't like it. She'd be like, eat it or else. And I'd be, okay. I'd be like, what's that, UFO? And then my mum would turn around and I'd just I'd get a handful of semolina, and as a kid, and I'd shove it into whatever pocket I had, like my trouser pocket or short pockets. I used to put them in like that. And I'd be sitting, and the dogs would come over, and they'd be lapping at the side of me, and Mum go, what's going on? What are Wolfie and Clara doing? I go, nothing, Mum, not doing anything. While they were eating, dripping semolina out of my pocket. So she got off lightly there with a bit of cheese. One day at supper time, Cinderella slipped a piece of cheese into her apron pocket. That evening, when her work was finished, Cinderella hurried up to her room and pulled out her sewing basket. What's going on with this cheese? She used some scraps of fabric to make a mouse-sized unit of clothing, a red shirt and a cap, a tiny orange coat, and 2 brown slippers made of cheese. No, they weren't made of cheese. I just made that up. Cinderella, what's going on with this cheese? She's still not mentioned it again. She's nicked this cheese, and there's no sign of it yet. Cinderella carried the clothes over to the mouse hole and knelt before it. Oh, here we go. She pulled the cheese out of her pocket and placed it with the clothes, the tiny clothes she just made, in the palm of her hand. Then she laid her open hand just in front of the mouse hole. You know, watch out, she don't get bitten. Hello in there, she called. The mouse cautiously poked his head out of the hole and sniffed the air. That was lucky, there was a mouse in there. Seeing the cheese, he inched out of the hole and over to Cinderella's hand. He paused and looked up at her. That's like walking out of your house and the Iron Giant standing there with a piece of cheese that's most probably the size of you, and going, do you want to... Imagine how loud the voice is to something small. Even Cinderella's little voice. She speaks like this. Nice and high and soft like a girl. That was my impression of a girl. That's what she speaks like. But to that mouse, she'll sound and look like the Iron Giant. He paused and looked up at her, and completely terrified... No, he didn't. He didn't. Doesn't say that. Go ahead, she said kindly. Go ahead, she said kindly. They're a gift for you. What, these homemade clothes and this 6-foot piece of cheese? The mouse scampered into her palm, picked up the cheese and the clothes, and hurried back into the mouse hole. Oh, yeah, he don't look a gift horse in the mouth, mate. Yeah, if it's there, take it, even if it does come from a really scary Iron Giant in a blue dress. Cinderella waited patiently for a few minutes, still kneeling in front of the hole. Why is she still there? She's done her job. You've done your good job. Crack on with your day. She wants praise, that's what it is. She's milking it for praise. Cinderella waited patiently, most probably for praise, for a few minutes, still kneeling in front of the hole. She wants to thank you, doesn't she? You don't get a thank you in life. You just got to do stuff and just crack on. Well, she called after a short while, let me see how they look on you. Yeah, she's saying that, but really she just wants to thank you, doesn't she? Timidly, the mouse came out in his new outfit. Cinderella clapped her. Oh, at least he had the decency not to strip off there in her hand, get everything out, and then put the clothes on. He was a gentleman. He went back inside the hole and got changed properly. Cinderella clapped. Timidly, the mouse came out in his new outfit. Cinderella clapped her hands. That would have deafened him, you know, Iron Giant clapping your hands. Perfect, she said. Do you like them? The mouse nodded. Then he jumped as if an idea had just occurred to him and scurried back into the mouse hole. Cinderella frowned. Had she frightened him? Yeah, you most probably scared him to death with your being the size of the Iron Giant and with a 6-foot piece of cheese compared to that mouse. But her worries vanished when the mouse reappeared along with several other mice who followed timidly behind him. Yeah, because that piece of cheese being as big as that piece of that piece of cheese being as big as that little mouse could have most probably fed all of them for a month. More friends, Cinderella cried. She hurried to get her sewing basket, delighted to have found the warmth and friendship in the cold attic room. What's the moral of that story then? If you're made to live in the loft, you have to make friends with mice. You have to feed them gigantic pieces of cheese whilst not scaring them to death because you are the size of the Iron Giant. I don't know, that sounds like a lot of hard work, doesn't it? I just would have moved out. I would have said, is it the loft? Right, I'm moving out. I'll see you later. And gone. Right then. That was a disaster. Thanks for watching. Like I said, hang around and we will... we've only got one more day of these, which is again going to be in this bed, filmed in just a minute, but I've got to get it done so I can do it for you tomorrow. And then we are in Magic Kingdom the following day, and it's funny. You'll enjoy it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later, dude. Mwah.
It's time.